Hello, welcome to episode 2 of the Web and Git course. Today we will look at the project structure and look at the Pug.js syntax. So now open Visual Studio Code and we'll look at every file we have inside our project. First file would be package.json file. This lists out all the dependencies you need to run this project. And they're automatically installed when you run npm install. And they're installed inside the node modules folder. And as I said last time, you don't need to touch anything in this folder. And also generated during the installation is the package-log.json file. And this is a detailed version of package.json saying exactly which version things are installed. And you don't need to care too much about it because it's also automatically generated. And also a README file. This file will be formatted and will be shown on GitHub. So it's just for documentation purposes. For example, I've written down like what technology we will be using, and also the installation process, like you just run npm install, and when you use it, you npm run build, and that's it. And then let's look at the app folder. In the app folder, there's a templates folder, which holds all the Pug files. And there are 3 parts. So first is the layout. In here, we'll put down everything that is needed for every page. For example, the title, and also the navbar. So as you can see, it includes 2 dots / partial / navbar, and as we introduced in the last video, 2 dots means previous directory. So it is trying to move out from the layouts folder into the templates folder, and then move into the partials folder and look for navbar. And so the navbar will be imported into layouts. This is just a method of separating different modules in different files. And so and the same thing is for footer. We're importing a very simple footer to every page. And finally, views. Views are individual pages. For example, the index page, which is the home page, and also the about page. And as you will notice, it extends the layout, which means it is using the layout. And then you can see a block content. This means that this part of the code will be put in the defaults file and in this part. And then after talking about the templates folder, let's move on to the styles folder. Styles folder holds all the styles we have written in less instead of CSS. And right now I think every file in the site folder is empty, and we'll eventually type things in there. And in the sites.less file, we'll import all the files we have in the site folder. So all the styles will be in one single less file. And finally, the images. It only has one image right now, so nothing too special to see. The next file will be more important, is gulpfile.js. So this is actually what is run when you run npm run build. I don't plan on going through the details of it, but you can see we are converting all the Pug files to HTML files because browsers only understand HTML, but they do not understand Pug. So what we will do is we will translate all the Pug files into HTML files. So what we will do is to find all Pug files in the app folder, and then we translate it to HTML, and then we put those HTML in the docs folder. And the same for styling. We are using less, but then browsers only understand CSS. So what we will do is to find all less files in the app folder, and then we translate it to CSS, and then finally we put those in docs/styles. And then we will just copy the JavaScript and the images and the fonts, and then this is what build does. It runs all the commands we had above. And so what the gulp file generated is the docs folder. So in here you can see the HTML files generated, and as I said, it has the layout, which includes the title and also the navbar, and it also includes the page details and then the footer. And then in the about page, it also includes the title and the navbar and the footer, but then the content changed into about page. And then for the styles, we have translated all less code into CSS, and right now there's no less code, so this file is empty. And then the image is being copied into the docs folder. And you can see the docs folder and the node modules folder are in gray color. This is because we have ignored them in the git ignore file. You can see the node modules and docs folder here respectively, because user can generate their own copy of node modules by running npm install, and their own copy of docs by running npm run build. And finally, this file is not that useful, so I'm not covering it. So one very important note is that you should not edit anything in the docs folder directly, because what you have wrote will be overwritten by npm run build. So any edits we make must be in the apps folder instead. So now let's actually write some code. We'll navigate to the app, and then templates, and then views, and then abouts.pug file, and then we'll start edit here. So remember just now we said this part is actually the content of this page, and now we will put everything inside the doc container. The reason we will discuss later. And so in every line of Pug, the first word would be the tag. So here we have defined a P tag. P stands for paragraph. So this is a paragraph tag. It is a tag you will use to display normal text. And what follows is the text. And now about page is the text that is printed. And remember, to view your website, you will have to go into the docs folder and then click on index.html to open the web page. And what I was talking about is the about page. So we'll click on about and we'll go to about page. And as you can see, a text saying about page is printed in the very normal body font, which is exactly what paragraph tag does. And usually we would like a heading in every web page. So we would now add the headings right now. And so we will create a new line. And tab is very important in Pug because the number of tabs determine how the elements are wrapped, because we don't have closing tags here like HTML. So we will create a new h1 tag, and then what follows the h1 is the text we want to display. So we will display this is header 1. h1 stands for header 1. And now we will save it and then go to terminal, run npm run build. And then now refresh the page and you will see this is header 1 displayed in very large text. And sometimes using header 1 might be too large. So we also have other smaller alternatives. So we add a new line and say h2 and then followed by the text, which is this is header 2. And then we also have even smaller alternatives. h3, this is header 3. And h2 and h3 stands for header 2 and header 3 tags respectively. And now we will run npm run build again. And notice that we are running the same command many times, so it is pointless to type in npm run build every time. So instead, what we will do is to use up and down arrow keys to navigate between the command history. So we can press up arrow once, and then it will show npm run build, which is our previous command run. So press enter to run the command again. And refresh the page, and you will see header 2 and header 3 are smaller alternatives to header 1. And in total, we have all the way up to h6 to choose from. And as I said, the paragraph tag wraps the body text, so it might be quite long. For example, I would say p tag, this is line 1, and then this is line 2, this is line 3. And notice that I will not be able to press enter here to separate this into a few lines, because remember, Pug recognized the first word as the tag, but now this is not a tag, which may lead to error. So Pug actually has a very convenient way. If you add a dot after P, and then we indent all these lines, and now these 3 lines all belong to the P tag. A very quick reminder that there cannot be spaces after the dot, or else, well, you can see things will go wrong. So we save the file and then run npm run build and then look at the browser. Oh, why are they still printed in the same line? Like I separated them into 3 lines in the code. Well, this is because this is not the way you make line breaks in HTML. So the number of lines it occupies in the code does not affect the number of lines it is displayed on the web page. And people who have learned HTML would probably know that the answer, but how? Because Pug only recognizes the first word of each line as a tag, and so it is not recognized here. And even here, because we told the p tag, inside here everything is text. So how? So one thing to actually note is that you could actually write HTML code in Pug. So in this case, the best solution is to create a BR tag right here using plain old HTML. And then copy the BR tag down to the next line, and now when you run npm run build and then refresh the page, and you can see the 3 lines are actually in 3 lines. And a quick tip, this is the Pug official web page. It has a bunch of documentation which you could have a look if you have time, but the reason I'm here is pretty interesting. You could let's just click onto a random page. You could see there are 2 boxes. The left box is the Pug and the right box is the HTML that the left box generates. So we could actually try out something here. So for example, for the paragraph tag example just now, you can see that this configuration does not work because it will recognize this as a tag. And now by just indenting these, it will also not work because it thoughts that the p tag surrounds these three this tags, which is not what we wanted. And then what we wanted is actually p dot. These 3 lines of code is now surrounded by the p tag. And then if you write br here, it will just thought this is a normal text, is to add br as an ordinary HTML element. And it works just as fine. And this online documentation, particularly the online translator, is really useful when you got stuck when writing Pug code. Next, let's look at how to add an image to our web page. But before we look at the syntax, let's download the images we need first. I will put the link to the images in the description, but note that it might be different from the current link we have right here. So we will just download the Book of Numbers picture. And remember, we'll put our images under app/images folder. And now let's actually look at the syntax on how to add the image to our web page. So we'll use an img tag, which stands for image, and then we'll use a pair of parentheses, and then source equals, and then we'll write our relative path to the image surrounded by double quotes, and our relative path will be images/numbers, book of numbers, I think, book of numbers.jpg, and it should be jpeg instead of jpg, and then we'll copy the code and then put it under the p tag. And now we'll run npm run build, and you can see the image is here. And so just to let you know what is happening in the docs folder, you could see the Book of Numbers picture got copied into the docs/images directory. And also in the about.html, it contains the code we have written translated into HTML. So I think this is all I want to talk about today, and I'll see you in the next video.